You wouldn't like me if you knew the real me. The Watchers is based on a novel by A.M. Shine, which sounds like the name of a K-pop group. Do you love K-pop music? If so, let me know your favorite group or groups in the comments, please. I'm partial to groups like Blackpink in your area. Blackpink in your area. Or Everglow. Do 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 do. Boom! Goodbye of Adios, and AOA, and various others. That song, Good Luck, that is a great video. My God, that is a great video. Honestly, those girls are so coordinated. There's a lot of deep-seated kind of stuff as far as people running some of the K-pop stuff, but honestly, so many of those girls are so goddamn talented, and I love me some K-pop music. Okay, The Watchers has nothing to do with K-pop music, but when I read the name A.M. Shine, yeah, there we go, tangent on K-pop music. So that being said, let's talk about The Watchers. So it was produced by M. Night Shyamalan with Ding Dong. Change. Remember when this guy made good movies? It was so long ago because Old, The Happening, Lady in the Water, even The Village, and so many others were not good. Yeah, sure, okay, you had The Visit, you had Split. Split was, I guess, all right. It did give us Anya Taylor-Joy and James McAvoy at the peak of his goddamn powers, just going absolutely insane. But yeah, M. Night Shyamalan with Ding Dong, either he was never that good of a director to begin with, and people just, gave him a pass because of The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and Signs, which even upon rewatching Signs, yeah, it has issues. But that being said, he would always create atmosphere with some cool story, Hitchcockian type stuff, and what a twist! So yeah, he'd go with the old twist thing. But M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong only produced this because it was written and directed by Ashana Shyamalan. And no, that is not M. Night creating a false name so he can just say, no, they're over here, it's like John Smithy. No, Ashana is his daughter. That's right, M. Night reproduced. So father and daughter teaming up to give us this. Give us The Watchers, which has to do with a group of people that watches in a movie called The Watchers. I know. Surprising. There are 4 people that are in a box-like structure, as Michael Cole said at WrestleMania 37. Good job there. They are in something called the Coop, and we find out, why these people are there and how one person particularly got there, and we find out a little bit of history about every single one of these characters. And yeah, it's like an episode of The Twilight Zone, where there are a few rules that you must follow. Do not turn your back on the mirror, because there's a mirror there where they can watch you. Ooh, watching you. Ooh. Yeah, also, you don't want to go out after dark. You don't want to open the door after sunset. You don't want to go near the burrows, because there's holes in the ground. Not the movie The Hole in the Ground, but that is where they live when it's daylight. Because apparently they hated that Sylvester Stallone movie as well. And so it turns out that a couple of these people, now granted there's Daniel Oliver Finnegan, such an Irish name. I mean, I'm sorry, just such an Irish name. Oh yes, this takes place in Ireland, by the way. Where Mina, Dakota Fanning, is working at a pet shop. She is presented with the task of taking this very, very lovely bird. And no, I'm not talking about the British version of the bird. It's just this bird is... which I don't know why a bird sounds like a monkey in my eyes, but nevertheless, let's roll with it. Would have been actually more hilarious, because then I would have wished for the... Never mind. Would have wished for the monkey to die. Monkeys annoy me. Let's move on. This bird is here. She is going to go out just before... the night before she's going to go do this. Take this bird to some place in Belfast. I'm going out. Try not to die. And it's like, try not to die. So anyway, she ends up taking it to Belfast. Only path is through these woods that were shown in the beginning of the movie, and where a good chunk of the movie takes place. And yeah, her car breaks down. The birds suddenly start flying like it's a whisper to a scream. If you get that reference, I certainly love you guys to death. What movie is that from? Please let me know. So she's freaking out. She's got the bird with her. The bird's fine, by the way. I just will say that the bird is fine. And she ends up, happening upon the box-like structure that is the Coop, and Madeline, played by Olwen, the gray-haired lady that was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Netflix one, and also in The Northman, and Mandy, and recently in Taro, who's a really good actress and has made some questionable choices, such as Taro. that being said, she's like, if you value your life, you will come here. And Mina finds out, Mina, by the way, Dakota Fanning is 30 years old this year. This does not compute with me. So yeah, Mina ends up, in this box-like structure with Madeline, with Georgina Campbell, the incredibly gorgeous Georgina Campbell, I might add. My God, she's incredibly attractive. God, I adore her. Ever since Barbarian, my God. Anyway, she was also in T.I.M., which was an artificial intelligence movie, in case I wasn't on the nose enough. And she was also in Lovely, Dark, and Deep. And I'm sure never mind. And then Daniel's also there, and it turns out they basically are watched. And they just want to the watchers just want to observe them, observe how they act, observe their everyday life in this box, and study them. And figure out how they tick. Or maybe drive them mad. I know what the watchers did. The watchers drove me mad. You know why it drove me mad? Because I called every goddamn thing from the trailer, and then it turns out I was right. I was fucking right. This movie is terrible. This movie is 1,000% dog shit. If this is the debut for Shauna, she can only go up from here, because you can't go any lower than this. This is like bargain basement bullshit right here. None of it is interesting because there's only a certain section of the woods that they can go in before they get past some mile markers and stuff like that. Who put these mile markers up? What's going on here? So, yeah, they do some investigating. Armina does some investigating. And Madeline seems to know an awful lot because she's been there for so long. Madeline seems to know an awful lot about these. An awful lot about the watchers and their rules and the way they tick. And you have to have a certain regimented amount of rules and a certain regimented schedule and everything. And why not just put a goddamn neon sign that says plot twist, plot twist, plot twist? This is like 30 to 40 minutes of material stretched out to 90 to 95 minutes. This was fucking abysmal. I mean, this was really goddamn abysmal. Like, I'm just shredding this up right now because, my God, this was abysmal. And I'll explain why. None of the twists, were surprising at all. It wasn't scary. Any of the attempts at scares, the jump scare note, burn. And again, they're stretching this shit out, and it's like, oh, I'm so shocked that this happened. Everybody knew that was the case. There's a little bit of a germ of a decent idea based on, mythology. And if you've read a book, a few books on Irish mythology or the environs and stuff like that, you will know exactly where this whole thing is going. The problem is it's not shocking and it's not surprising. It's just, my God, this is so terrible. How can you make a movie this bad in 2024? Did she learn nothing from her dad? Actually, she might have learned a lot from her dad, because her dad, again, has not made a good movie in a while. If this is some passion project for her, if this is something she thought was a good idea, I need to see what the goddamn cutting room floor looked like. If these were the takes they went with, what in the blue worldwide fuck were they thinking? Jesus. So, yeah, I mean, yes, the Irish woods look cool and everything, but there's no tension, there's no scares, there's no nothing. The idea, the setup, I guess, is kind of okay, but you know where it's going. And then it just decides to throw a few multiple, twists and turns and everything, including one that was so goddamn obvious it's actually baffling that everybody doesn't say, oh yeah, that's what happened. The audience I watched it with was totally goddamn shocked, because apparently they don't get out very goddamn much. Look, I know movies are supposed to be entertainment, but the key word there is entertainment. If you're going to make a horror movie, you need to make it, scary or halfway good. And this isn't good. It wastes the talents of Georgina Campbell, Dakota Fanning, Olwen, the guy that played Daniel, not Chris Benoit's son. This guy's career is alive and well. What the hell is wrong with me? It is bad. It is really, 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 really bad. It's in theaters. It'll probably end up making some money, because people are really determined to see if M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong still has some, juice left in him. He used that juice. That's how Ashana was made. That's terrible. I'm sure she's a nice person, but this was bad. Really, 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 really bad. Can't really say enough how bad it is. I'm going to get into spoilers. Spoilers might go a few minutes. They might go a while. Who knows? 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So, in the beginning, there was a red coat guy that got killed. Maybe he has a red shirt. I don't know. I kind of wanted to join him, in all honesty. But he's out in the woods. He's trying to get away from or he's trying to get up in a tree. And then he's drugged down into the goddamn, and drugged down into a hole. Or just destroyed. Who is he? We find out later, I guess. Look, the thing is about movies like this is you have to, you need to have some suspense built, and nothing is suspenseful about this. It turns out Mina lost her mother, did not come for the the memorial for her mother, the anniversary memorial, and she's living in Belfast, obviously based on the accent. She used to live in America, and she ends up driving along and everything. She's listening to this voicemail from her sister, and then she ends up stalling out in her car, takes the bird with her, ends up in this box. Madeline knows all this stuff, tells all these rules, and Mina decides to go investigate along with Daniel in one of the burrows, one of the holes, finds a whole bunch of objects and stuff like that, like a bike and various other things that they're going to haul up, but you're not supposed to go in the burrows. And then the idea is you have to give all the stuff back because the watchers are going to be pissed. And then they're watching them and they're checking on all the stuff, and the watchers' appearances keep shifting and everything and changing. Changeling, as it were. Gee, I wonder what they could be. They're studying humans as a way to, figure out how they tick and act like them. They're changelings. They're changelings. That's what it is. That's what the whole goddamn thing is. And none of it is surprising at all. I really don't understand why that was surprising. Like, once they look at them at night, they're looking at them in full view and everything, and they want to figure out how to copy them. But that's not the only twist. It's not a good twist. It's a pretty abysmal twist. But they lay it on like, oh my God, it's so shocking. It's not. But whatever, Shauna, whatever helps you sleep at night. I don't even know if the novel was all that good, but A.M. Shine, if this was an example of their writing, they might want to find something else to do as well. So, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice because I know how hard it is to make a movie, but fuck. So anyway, they end up discovering on the floor this panel that is covering this this hatch to this underground pit, because they're always having to hunt and get some get stuff going, hunt for food and stuff like that. Madeline's been there the longest. Georgina Campbell's been there for a bit. Lost her husband. There's even a point where her husband shows up, but it's not actually her husband. It's one of those changelings, or maybe it is the husband. I don't think so, because I believe he was the guy that was there, that was killed in the beginning, or attacked, or whatever. I felt like I was being attacked and assaulted by this movie because it was so bad. It was just bludgeoning me over the head with its boredom. But Daniel also got away from an abusive household, and that's how they all ended up there for some reason. Madeline ended up there because it turns out Madeline actually knows a little bit more than meets the eye. So they go into this hatch. This guy that was referred to as the professor, it turns out he had this underground bunker thing and had all this food and these computers that had dial-up internet that they could somehow use and click onto all these files. And it turns out that he was creating this there and using manual labor of people that would not be missed, because when they were basically used as human sacrifices, so this guy could create this facility and study the Watchers, study the Changelings. Because they mimic people and they, create their own personas, and they try to, learn and act like humans. Because they've been trapped underground for so goddamn long because of ancient Irish mythology and everything. Because they were so evil and they lost their wings and lost their powers. Now they're going to come back and fight back. It's like if Us was made by an idiot. Or two idiots in the case of this father-daughter combo. That being said, he ended up capturing one of the changelings at one point. And then they all escape. Except Daniel. Daniel ends up with somebody that he used to know that actually was a changeling that killed him. So Georgina Campbell, Dakota Fanning, and Olwen escape. They have the bird there. The bird's fine. And they end up on a bus. They end up back, and they're fine. Mina's at university. Georgina Campbell's living on. And Olwen just disappears. And then it turns out that the professor actually had a wife. A wife that was named Madeline. Yeah, it turns out actually she died in 2001. He went there to study. And the changeling ended up mimicking the wife. There you go. And now this changeling just basically wants to do all this stuff and live out in the real world. Maybe there are others like them that are half human, half changeling. Whatever. Does it really fucking matter? No. And yeah, there's like this terrible like sequence at the end where the changeling's just changing into either, you know, the Georgina Campbell's his husband or Georgina, all this, and changes into Dakota Fanning. You know, like you is like, I'm going to become you, I'm going to do all this, and I'm going to walk among you. And then it turns out that Mina actually felt responsible for her mother's car accident. They killed her mother and hurt her sister, and it's haunted her forever. And then she turns that pain back on the changeling. And then says, you can live a life, you can find others like you and everything, and take off and do this stuff. And this changeling grows its wings. I hope you're right, Mina, and takes off. Oh, yes, and then her and Georgina are just living on and everything. But this changeling, Madeline or whatever, is watching her. And hell no, they're going to do a sequel. They're going to do a fucking sequel. Terrible. I don't even think this is the worst movie of the year. The sad thing, that's the sad thing about it. It gets an F. It's 100% terrible. It is bad. The mythology is just stamped into the goddamn ground. It wastes Dakota and Georgina's talents, Olwen's talents as well. The guy who plays Daniel, he's fine. He's fine. The rest of the cast, it's just minor people. But yeah, F, it gets an F. It's up there on the worst movies of the year list, and we're only in June. It didn't beat Strangers Chapter 1 and a few others, but don't worry, it's going to be up there. That being said, what did you think of The Watchers? Fuck. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Renthal, and I'll see you soon.